Welcome to the arena. This is CoffeeStout coming at you with an update on the free-to-play account. I'm going to show you where this account is, what we have been doing with it. Next, we're going to talk about some of the mistakes I've made along the way, because there have been mistakes in those 100 days. And just to give you some perspective on the problem with a free-to-play account, especially if you have made a dramatic mistake and need to recover from it. Then finally, we will talk about what we are going to be doing going forward with this particular account. Starting off at Untapped GG, we're going to break down the collection just a little bit. If you do not use Untapped.gg, I highly recommend it in order to get a visual breakdown of your collection, as well as recommended decks based off of your collection. If you view the craftable decks here, it will give you kind of a breakdown of what you can be playing. Today, we're going to be looking at the total rares and mythics that we have in this particular account. This is in standard. Fantastic. We have 14% of all the rares and 9% of all the mythics in our standard collection. If we go to unique, we see that we have 38% of the rares and 25% of the mythic. Now, I have not bought any packs in Magic the Gathering Arena on this account, hardly at all. That's why, if you open packs, these numbers will probably be a little bit larger because you're going to be spinning the wheel a lot more often. But we only have 5 rares and 14 mythics, 17 commons, 29 uncommon wild cards for this particular account, which is pretty low. I am actually okay with this rare count the way it is, because what we are doing is we want to build our account for the future rather than the present. We are not concerned about standard because we know it will rotate, and the cards that are good in that format are not necessarily great in older formats. The rares and mythic wild cards that we have right here will be used to craft evergreen cards that will always be good in all formats in which they are legal. Other examples of cards that we could be crafting this way are going to be things like Brainstorm, Fetch Lands, and almost any Planeswalker that says Teferi in it. The best example being Teferi Time Raveler or Hero of Dominaria. We have a much smaller collection if we consider Timeless and Historic, but this could be a little bit deceiving. Only a small percent of Magic cards ever get played. Most of the cards are designed with draft in mind and whether they are making a good draft environment with the archetypes and all that. Then, outside of draft, they are then designed for standard, where a deck would be actually pretty good or pretty okay in standard and creates a good standard environment. Many of those cards in standard will not be good in older formats, even Pioneer. As the format gets older, the list of good cards becomes even smaller. Where in the oldest formats, only very few cards are good enough for those formats. The deck that I use to do my dailies is very strong. Without this deck, I would not be able to play in ranked with this profile at all. Luckily, this deck wins well above average. You're looking at being good against almost every archetype outside of Azorius Control. But doesn't everybody struggle against Azorius Control? I sure do. Other than this deck, I spend a large portion of my time playing in starter deck duel area of Arena because we don't have a competitive standard deck and we only have the one competitive historic deck. Therefore, to mix things up and to do things that require us to cast red spells, black spells, or green spells, we come to this spot in starter deck duels. I've also been experimenting with standard brawl because we have 37% of the rares in standard. Therefore, we could start to put together some standard brawl decks with the cards that we have lying around in our economy. Let's now talk about some of the mistakes that I have made along the way. As said, I would not consider myself a super strong drafter. I could hold my own, usually get the platinum, play about 50-50 at plat, but that is not strong enough for a free-to-play account to really take advantage of drafting with gems. This is likely to change depending on the format, but for now, I should not be using gems to draft, not in the formats that we have available in drafting right now. But guess what? I did use my gems to draft, losing all of the gems that I was going to use to buy the Mastery Pass. I still don't have it, as you can see. To mitigate this error, I have been joining quick drafts to get to 3,400 gems as quick as humanly possible, up from 0, by the way, in order to get the Mastery Pass for this set. It's always really nice to get the Mastery Pass, especially if you've nearly completed it, because you get gems in it and you get all kinds of stuff. And my lack of foresight has put me behind the curve on getting this and those gems and the free draft and all of that. It put me back months, to be completely honest with you. You might say that I should just save up 10,000 coins and join a Premier Draft, and you would be right. The environment for drafting in Premier Drafts is much better because you're drafting against humans and they are all making irrational decisions on what to draft, what not to draft. And the awards are significantly better in Premier Drafts. But I have opted to double down on my bad strategy of doing quick drafts in order to get 3,400 gems in order to get the Mastery Pass. This is not what you're supposed to do, but I have been very susceptible to my inability to actually save coins on Arena, and it is something that I'm going to have to get better at if I'm going to continue this free-to-play account. Right now, I am, as you can see, 2 or 3 drafts away in quick drafts in order to get the Mastery Pass, or waiting. I could probably get it done in one actual draft. The problem is if I save up 10,000 coins at this point and try to do a Premier Draft and fail miserably, which can happen, I lose basically 2 or 3 weeks worth of saving. So because the season is ending so soon, I have to go into quick drafts and try to get it done that way. If I had done this right the first time, we would have been able to do dailies to save gold for the next set. The Mastery Pass is very strong, therefore I would hate to miss it for Caverns of Ixalan. It will be achieved, but we're in a very precarious situation of not having a standard deck or more than one historic deck. You can forget about Timeless on this account for a while until we grind out this major mistake that I have done. Another mistake I made was crafting standard cards. As you can see, wild cards are very low, but a lot of that was me crafting things like the Wandering Emperor here, Memory Deluges, Chrome Host Seed Sharks, which I only have the 2 copies of, but and the Hornlocked Whale. I think I got this guy with drafting, but it still stands that I was crafting cards to try to make a good standard deck with very, very limited resources and ability to have resources. What I came out with was a mediocre, too bad Azorius control deck. It's not good. I don't have enough board wipes to really make it good, and we don't have enough murder spells, kill spells. We don't have murders in here. We have to rely on the Werefox Bodyguard. I also crafted 4 copies of Haughty Jin for the account, which I love Haughty Jin in Standard. Fantastic card for Standard, but I don't know how much play I could get out of this in other formats. And of course, we do know that rotation does happen. Which brings me into, whenever you're playing on a budget, you kind of need to specialize in one format. Always choose one format in which you are going to spend most of your time in and focus on that. Are we going to do Timeless, Explorer, Historic, Alchemy, or Standard. These are the formats that we have available to choose from, and by doing things in a standard deck with the Mono Blue Tempo and the bad Azorius control deck, it pulled attention away from Historic and Timeless that I could have been crafting cards in those formats instead. So if you've noticed, I've been talking about my mistakes as well as talking a little bit about what we could have done differently. Magic the Gathering Arena's economy is designed to get you to make a purchase. It wants you to spend money. Now, I cannot blame WotC for this at all, but my account does not allow me to do this. This restriction, however, made me acutely aware of what needs to be done in order to maximize your return on Magic the Gathering Arena. First and foremost, save coins. I have not been able to do this because we are so far behind the curve trying to get the 3,400 gems, but on an average set, you could save up generally about 70,000 gold. And the way you get that is with 15 wins per day and only having quests that give you 500 gold every day. We're estimating this on the low side. Calculating it all out, every day you get the 15 wins, you get 500 gold from this. Comes out to 70,000 gold if you are playing every day. Now this 70,000 gold should be used to do 7 premier drafts of the latest set. Not only will this give you a good foundation of cards for the set, but it will also give you the gems necessary. Let's say that you play pretty averagely in drafting. If you get two wins, you get 250 gems and 2 packs. If you get 4 wins, you get 1,400 gems and 3 packs. We're going to put it somewhere in the middle here. If you get 3 wins, every single time you have 7,000 gems. That is enough for the Mastery Pass and either more drafting here or spending coins to buy packs from the latest set in order to start to build up your gold cards and your wild card collection. Another thing that this has kind of brought to light to me was that people shouldn't worry about rank at all. Yes, on my other account, I like to rank up. It feels good. Now that I'm managing 2 accounts for you guys, it's harder for me to play in higher ranks until this account starts to really take off if you guys enjoy this kind of content. But yeah, getting to platinum is good enough, and that's whenever you start to face better players as well. It's more fun to play in platinum and diamond than it is in earlier ranks in bronze, silver, and gold. But to get the mythic, it's just crazy. It's more of a time investment than anything else. And because this video is going a little bit long, and I am well aware of that, I would also say that there is one more very important thing that needs to be discussed, and that is don't chase hype. I have probably the worst deck I've ever played with. I was kind of chasing hype, and I saw the Gates thing, and I thought that that looked fun. So I built the Gates deck with the stuff that I have. And of course, I added some Scoot Swarms to it just because of value. But it doesn't win. It doesn't win hardly at all. I've rarely lost to a Gate deck, and I've rarely won with a Gate deck. I think that those two things are combined a little bit. This also significantly slowed down what I was able to do in this free-to-play account. I'm sorry that I haven't been posting as often on this account, but I busted 4 rare wildcards there, 2 rares here on the Baldur's Gate, and I had the Titans, and that's the only reason I made this deck. Scoot Swarms and Escape to the Wilds. We burned up a lot of our economy with this particular build, meaning that I didn't have the wild cards I wanted in order to create an Azorius control deck, which I think would be fantastic since we already have most of the land base that we are going to need for this deck. Yeah, and it just slowed me down significantly. Don't chase hype. The hype boys will always be the hype boys, and they're always going to be trying to show off the next greatest thing that never existed until they just made the video just now, right? It is part of the way good decks are discovered, but it's also a good way to fall into traps. You should be playing for fun. Don't worry about ranked, because ranked will suck your soul out, especially if that is all you are focused on in Magic the Gathering Arena. It will suck your soul out. Go in, have a good time, play formats that you really do enjoy. If you enjoy Standard, by all means, play in Standard. If you enjoy Alchemy, well, I don't know what's wrong with you, first off. But second off, enjoy Alchemy. Play in Alchemy. Get good at it. Enjoy the format. Historic, Explorer, Timeless, exact same thing. I prefer Historic and Timeless myself, but, you know, Alchemy, there are Alchemy players, right? Shout out to all those Alchemy players out there. But just remember to enjoy what you are doing, regardless of what other folks think is good. Do the thing that you want to do. And since we are running really short on time now, we're going to have to say adios and sayonara. I hope you guys found this, if not informative, then at least entertaining. And just to give you guys an update on exactly what I'm doing on this account has not gone away. And if there's interest in it, it will remain a thing into the future. Thank you for joining today. This is CoffeeStout signing out. Make sure you've liked the video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.